not too long ago, I got two big 300-gallon tanks that I want to use for storing diesel and storing gasoline. Both of these tanks were originally buried underground and stored heating oil. I have already gone through and cleaned them out the best I could. The one is pretty good. The other one has a little bit of remnant of the heating oil and maybe some water or something, but I've dumped it out the best I can and there's not much left. I'll use that one for the diesel because it's not as important to get rid of that heating oil. It's basically diesel anyway. But I need to do some repairs to these. One of them has some pinholes on the side, so I need to make sure to get those patched up before I try and put anything in them. And then we're going to go get some stands built and get these up in place. I have been waiting to do this project because I've been waiting for some supplies to come in the mail, and now that they're in, it may be a little late for me to be hauling in some fuel in these 55-gallon drums. But we're going to give it a shot. I'm going to get these stands built, get these up on there, and then we'll see if I can get that side-by-side up and down for hauling the 55-gallon drums, because I don't think I really want to try and pull those in a sled behind the snow machine. So first thing I'm going to tackle is these pinholes. I have the grinder out and I'm going to clean up these holes. Might be hard to tell on the camera, but these here are holes through the tank, and I'm pretty sure this one right here is also. I'm definitely still not great at welding, but I have improved quite a bit because I've had to weld that skid steer bucket quite a few times. Well, this is a lot thinner than anything I have ever welded, so I am melting a lot of this away. Kind of having a hard time not just burning through, but we'll keep trucking. Before I move on to this smaller hole, I'm going to actually grind this off just to see if I can see any holes or anything through it. It's kind of hard to tell with the big blob on there. So I'm going to try and grind this smooth and just see if I can see any pinholes. After grinding that smooth, it looks like I've got a couple probably small holes through yet, or maybe real thin. So I'll just touch those couple spots again. Okay, I think we might be good with that one, so I'm going to move on to the little one. Alright, I think that is good. As for the top of these tanks, I only need two bigger holes. These smaller ones I do not need. I couldn't get the fittings off a couple of them, so I'm going to grind them off, and then I'm just going to weld these holes shut. That finishes up what I've got to seal up. I'm going to use the 2 larger holes on both of these tanks, so I'm not too worried about those. I was a little nervous doing this second tank because I knew there was a little bit of fluid in there yet from the heating oil, and I did notice some flames coming out of the hole that I was getting pretty hot, especially when things dropped down in the bottom, but we didn't have an explosion, so we're good to go. So the plan with these tanks, now that I've got them sealed up, is to get them on some stands and put them right to the side of the carport here. We are going to put them on stands just to lift them up a little bit off the ground, just so that if we do get a lot of snow, I don't have to worry about them getting completely buried, just to give me a few extra feet. So my plan with these stands, they do have to be able to hold about 2,000 pounds of weight, a little over. I'm going to make an X pattern. I'm going to notch these together to give them the most strength. I'm going to then put a board on this side, that side, and one on the bottom, and then the tank will sit in the groove. That will be for each end, and then I will do some cross bracing, diagonal bracing between the two just to keep them from tipping back and forth. I'm starting to lose my light and I'm pretty cold, so I'm gonna go inside, get these glued up tonight. I'll just pop them together in my X form like that, get some glue in there, let them dry overnight, and then we'll continue on tomorrow. We got our crosses assembled last night. They're all dry, ready to go, so now we're going to add our boards to the sides and the bottom. So I'm just gonna cut a bunch of boards at 36 inches on the chop saw, and then we will run them all through the planer to get them all uniform, and then I'll get my angles cut and everything so that they can fit in here perfect. These cross supports are all done. I just need to assemble them with the end pieces, but we're gonna go do that on the deck so I have a large flat area to be able to do that. That is one stand done. I think that should do just fine. Well, this probably isn't a very useful design for most people to hold tanks, but flip it upside down, it works as a table. That's the second battery, just assembling these. They die quick in this freezing temp. That's the second one done. Next we'll move on to getting the tanks installed on top of these, and then we'll mess around with getting those pumps working. Okay, now that these are on the stands, I gotta finish up doing what I need for getting the pumps working and everything and storing the actual fuel. In hindsight, I didn't need these vent caps, being the pump hose will probably just sit freely in here, so it will be able to vent out fine. But I have them, so I'm going to tack one of these on each of the holes on each of these tanks. Well, that was by far the thinnest metal I've ever tried to tack down. It is secured on there, but it definitely melts very quickly. But I do have some thinner stuff that I'm gonna have to be doing once I finish this up. So here's that cap, that's how thin it is. That was rough, to say the least. First time I've ever had to hold something with one hand while welding with the other. And with the cold, my breath keeps freezing up and fogging up my mask, so I can't see very well. So my pickup pipe from the pump will have to drop down in here, but I don't really have like a grommet or anything to keep weather out so I don't get rain and snow in here. I've also got to keep a pretty big hole because not only does the pipe have to fit, but also that big filter. So I need a pretty big hole. I was initially thinking maybe a pipe coming up and then U-shape over, but it'd be difficult to get this filter through there. So I think what I'm going to do is just kind of put a TP cover over it. And to do that, I've got some of this extra ridge cap from the house. Just gonna put it on something like that, and then I'll just put a couple tacks in it. Finally, that's one all done, except for the hoses. I'm gonna move on and do the other one, but I won't make you suffer through that. I will say I really don't like how this ridge cap works, but it will get me through this winter. Next summer, I'll rip that off, and then I'll just make a cone flashing, kind of like how your stovepipe chimneys come out. I'll make a flashing around it. The only reason I'm not doing that right now is because you have to silicone the seams, and I'll silicone it right onto the pipe on the top, and then I won't have to worry about liquid going down into the tank, but I can yet lift it up out. Well, we made it down to the truck. It's pretty cold this morning. The truck said it was 1 degree, so that wind chill with the side-by-side was very cold, but we made it. Now we're gonna go fill up these tanks. Well, I just got back to the trailhead with all 4 barrels filled, 2 are diesel, 2 are gasoline. It cost just over $750 to fill the 4. I just now need to chain up my tires so I can try and get up this trail. There's a couple big hills on this trail, but there's one major one that I'm a little worried about, so we're chaining up. I got them on the front because my back tires are a little bit better for the snow. Hopefully we can make it. up the hill just fine. I know at least one person has slid down the hill so far this year, but with the chains, easy peasy.
Much to look at. Like you can't even tell, it's just clear in the pipe.
And that's it. We've got about 110 gallons in each of these tanks, both diesel and gasoline. Pumps are mounted up top, and then I have the hoses ran through the wall. Right now they're just through the wall and hanging on some of the slats. Eventually I will add some sort of hanger for the pumps to go onto, but the hoses are really stiff in this cold, so that'll probably be a next summer project when the hoses move around a lot easier. And then our alligator clips I've got clipped here. I think what I'm going to do on this is I'm going to get an adapter for our drill batteries, get it mounted on the wall, and just have it wired directly to these so I don't have to mount it to a battery every time. Then I'll just bring out one of my drill batteries, put it on the mount on the wall, and then it'll be able to power the pumps as needed. And then I will add a kill switch in between each one. Our drums are empty and sat for storage. I'm not going to load any more this year because I don't feel like spending another $1,500 on fuel, and we have about a foot of snow coming this week. And doing this will make it so I don't have to make a bunch of trips this winter with gasoline jerry cans of 5 gallons each towed in that sled behind the snow machine.